The Germans are absolutely unloading their Bitcoin on the market.
Glaubst du, dass die Deutsche keinen Humor hat, ha?
All the while, Lionel Messi is promoting Solana altcoins and failing entirely to pump them even a little bit. And every financial expert on the internet has poured out, celebrating and victory lapping that Bitcoin has in fact completed its cycle and it is now in a bear market. But the truth is it's darkest before dawn, and I'm going to share with you how I see a major decoupling of short-term bearish headwinds complemented with some extreme long-term bullish tailwinds. Let's get into this because there is a lot to cover today. And I'll be doing my best to double down on content during this dip as it is such a critical time in the markets. First and foremost, let's just get this out of the way. What the hell was Lionel Messi's team thinking? Having 500 million followers on Instagram and pumping a water token on Solana? As you can see here, it barely moved the needle, barely bringing it back with literally under $100,000 in 24-hour volume after this post. Once again, if there is any further need to prove and solidify the point that celebrities are not onboarding people to cryptocurrency, that celebrity-backed meme coins are not an onboarding mechanism, but simply a value extraction mechanism, let this be it. Lionel Messi, objectively one of the most famous people in the world, certainly not for his financial advice, but it doesn't work. It does not work to have celebrities come into crypto. It just purely is a one-way funnel of extracting money from crypto people's wallets to the celebrity's wallet. And I'm definitely not even blaming Messi for this because it's more of a reflection on the market as a whole right now, which is pretty much anemic. There is no risk or excitement for any altcoins, even ones backed by the biggest of the biggest celebrities. And now is a convenient time for experts like Joe Burnett here to say the Bitcoin bubble has finally popped. Your worthless digital coins are going to zero. Did you really fall for buying Bitcoin at $20,000 2 years ago or $9,000 4 years ago? A crash was clearly inevitable. Now he's being sarcastic here, obviously, but this is actually a sentiment we're seeing echoed all across the internet today. And it's important to realize that a huge part of this is that the German government is unloading 50,000 Bitcoin on the market, which is billions of dollars in Bitcoin. And they've just sold 17,000 of those Bitcoin worth $951 million in the largest single day Bitcoin liquidation. Now, it's important to realize that right now, at the bottom of this range that we've been in, Bitcoin got hammered with two government unlocks. You had the Mt. Gox creditors unlock. This is the exchange that got hacked 10 years ago. The Mt. Gox exchange is now distributing their Bitcoin. And then you have the German government selling. It sort of feels almost as if the powers that be wanted to smash down the Bitcoin price at a very, very vulnerable moment for the market. Almost as if this is some kind of, dare I say, orchestrated FUD.
Dump it.
That's right, this is a short-term one-off that is one of the biggest market overhangs, and we're getting all of the demons out right now. In fact, one of the biggest bears on the timeline is actually a duck, Crypto.alt. He said the worst part about announced selling, like the German government has just done, is not the fact that you're going to get market dumped on, it's the fact that you lack buyers, given that they know they can get it at a discount later on. Essentially, the psychology for a lot of people is they're going to wait for this to play out before they buy, which stops the actual bids from coming in and counteracting the German selling. So it becomes a foregone conclusion that market will dump. As Duck points out here, it's interesting to see what will happen as this turns from expecting selling to expecting the end of the selling here at depressed values. And the Wizard of Soho here says, whoever is executing the German BTC allocation might be hands down the absolute worst I've seen in 15 plus years of trading. The number one rule of being a good trader of any kind is to have zero market impact. This is ridiculous. And of course, he's saying this because the way that the German government is selling is absolutely destroying the chart, which is something that you rarely see in these big sales. You want to do auctions, you want to do off-market bids. You rarely go and just hit market sell over and over again, hammering the price down. That is a super unsophisticated and, dare I say, malicious way to attack the Bitcoin price. And it might be revealing the actual motive, which in my humble opinion spells out why things could be extremely bullish long-term, which is in short that this Bitcoin movement is really, really winning out in the long term, and that scares a lot of governments. Now, we've talked about all of the bearishness. That's right, the charts have been quite scary, but let's talk about this because this downside move, according to my quant Crown, should be wrapping up within the next 5 days. That's this big moment for the bears, according to his video. Subscribe to Crown's channel and watch him daily. I highly suggest it. He gives you a very balanced statistical outlook on the market, so I don't want to overly summarize his opinions. But overall, this is the window where the bears need to attack. And if they don't, we have a lot of bullishness loading in the chamber. Specifically, the spot Ether ETFs are coming as soon as this week or next. This is crazy. This is one of the biggest changes to the entire crypto space that we've seen in its 15-year history. I don't know if you count 2008 or 2009 or 2010 as the beginning, but regardless, in its short history, this is one of the biggest moments ever. An altcoin ETF on the stock market. It would be almost unthinkable even a year ago, and here we are today about to witness it go live with the worst sentiment I've ever seen in this industry. As Blockray says here, I don't understand why people aren't more bullish to be clear of the government selling and GOX distributions. Next week, some of the biggest overhangs wipe away and the only narratives left are bullish. Of course, as the meme says below, the biggest overhangs so far. But let's inject some hopium here. Bitcoin 160K, ETH 12K, Sol 800, total 8 trillion. That's the total market caps. Obviously 10 trillion would be ideal, but I think anywhere shy of that 6 to 8 is a decent place to shoot for an overall market top towards the end of 2025. Now, of course, Nick here with this Hopium Dose, we got to shout out the Hopium dealers right now. He's calling out a surprise July rate cut. Now, if this does happen, that would be certainly bullish for the markets, as the Fed has really teased us with rate cuts for a long time and has pulled them away time after time. So we have not gotten these rate cuts. People are still earning tons of money, just leaving their money in treasury bills, in money market funds, and there's really no incentive to go be risk on right now with so many conflicting opinions in the market. That will change the moment that rates go low enough that people don't feel like they're getting a good payday from the government. Now, he also claims for new all-time highs in August. If this does happen, I promise you, I'll be giving out some money here on the channel. If you're here on the channel, I'll just be giving you out money. Like straight up, I'll be giving out some money randomly to people. I'll be celebrating. I'll be dancing in the street. I'll be probably doing a lot of inappropriate things. Suffice it to say, it'll be like the Woodstock of our generation. This is it, people. However, I don't know. It seems a little overly optimistic to me, but if it does happen, hey, look, I'm here for it. Essentially, he's saying November through March 25 is beautiful. August 25 is equally bad. He's saying that, next summer is terrible. And then, Q4 of next year is essentially the blow off top. So protect yourself for the next month or so, get super long into September, October, and then essentially ride it into Q2 of next year, as well as, maybe take some profits on the way up. And then if you want to double down as the market collapses next summer, there's your market cycle. Crappy summer, amazing Q4 2024 into Q1, Q2, and then we get a cool off and then a big blow off top next year. Honestly, this storyline makes sense to me. I like this storyline. Certainly, it's got different acts, some tension, some character arcs, some drama. You got to love those things. I'm not sure about the August all-time highs right now, but I can tell you that this overall trajectory of things getting warmer into Q4 and then having a real moment into the beginning of 2025, I see that for sure happening. And then I see the end, maybe the blow off into next year. That all makes sense. It tracks with the 4-year cycle. Let's see. Until proven otherwise, I'm going to be betting long into this 4-year cycle because that is how people have gotten rich before, not by constantly dumping everything to zero as soon as it moves an inch. Now, the one thing I'll say here is that Andrew Kang, who has been calling for this range break lower, has said the common mistake when you see crypto markets is buying too early when the trend has inflected from up to down. I do agree with this. This is a dangerous thing to do. These big ships, they turn slowly, and Bitcoin has been mostly just running up for literally almost nonstop since you could count at the end of 2022, but really I see it since sort of March of 2023 is when the market's really inflected up. So this is the first major downturn it's seen. Now, this could be a small deviation that's just a liquidity grab, or it could be more significant. Anyway, you never want to underestimate the power of Bitcoin. Once it turns, it can get pretty brutal. However, I've said this a bunch of times, I'm here to ride the entire cycle, and I do believe we're going to get a cycle. Now, rightly so, I'm sure some people are criticizing me for getting the last few months wrong. I had a really nice run throughout 2023 into the beginning of 2024, and then I got overly optimistic that we'd see this advanced cycle. It just felt like things were moving so fast. I was wrong about that. Hand up. You got to admit when you're wrong, move forward, and try to do better. But the one thing I won't do is start turning and losing my conviction and just dumping everything. I don't think that's the right path forward. I'm very confident in the buys I've made, the reasons why I've made those buys, and I'm confident to hold these coins through this downturn into the next upturn. I'm also risking losing a lot of those gains. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I believe there's a way to create content in crypto, to invest in crypto, and to also do that in a way that's aligned with your audience. There's a lot of people who criticize this and say it's not possible, but I think this pathway is the most aligned because I'm truly riding through each up and down long term with the audience. It allows for us to sort of experience this together, and hopefully that creates an outcome where if I do well, the audience also does equally well. That's really the ultimate goal, is to create a content platform that benefits the audience to the max degree. Now, of course, to do this, I'm risking a ton of money falling in the markets, and that's just the way it's got to go. So I hope you guys appreciate this path that I'm taking, where I'm actually really not taking any profits or making any meaningful money off of the gains I've experienced here in the market so far, with the intention that we're going to do this thing together for the long term. And who knows, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. That's the reality, is that maybe it won't. But I'm riding here with full conviction in the boat with you. Hope you guys enjoy that. If you do appreciate that, smash that like button and let's get back into the alpha. Now, the big question here is what's going to happen, because we know that if Donald Trump is elected president, we actually see that the Republican National Committee has just approved a draft of the party's platform to defend the rights to mine and self-custody. It's actually crazy here. You see that the official Republican Party now has included crypto in its platform. This is one of those landmark political moments, as Yuga.eth explains here, where the Republican Party is officially taking this on as one of their core issues. And once something gets politicized like this and has such broad-based political support, it feels like it's an inevitability that it will get its protections, at least to a certain degree. And we can assume that if Donald Trump is elected president, it would lead to a massive sea change in regulatory clarity, in hospitability, in all kinds of positive benefits to crypto traders, investors, and builders in the United States. This could be one of the biggest bullish tailwinds for this industry that it ever sees. Now, of course, we never know how elections are going to go, and not everyone is a crypto-centric voter, so I understand that crypto might not be the top of the ballot. I want to be very, very respectful and sensitive to those voters. But the reality is, for me personally, everything I have is tied up in this industry. I'm fully invested. I'm building stuff. I literally spend my entire life in this industry, interacting with the community. It's so enticing to imagine that there would be politicians at the highest level in the United States that are actively understanding, protecting, and advocating for the rights of crypto users. It's an almost unthinkable reality that I can't help but want to fantasize about it. So yes, I am hoping that whichever way that happens, it happens over the next short term. Now, I do believe that Joe Biden is most likely the biggest politician on the left and the most likely to defeat Donald Trump. And so I understand why he wants to stay in the race, but now we're seeing a lot of different conflicting opinions coming out as to whether or not he's going to actually stay in the race. It's a bit confusing because he put out a statement just today saying he's unequivocally staying in the race. And then he also just today also canceled a meeting with senior Democrats who are apparently trying to convince him to drop out. So it's very unclear what's happening here. If we go to the decentralized betting markets, the Democratic nominee for 2024, we see here that Joe Biden, the graph of whether or not Joe Biden will become the Democratic nominee, dropped as low as 44 cents. It was as high as 90 cents here going in to these debates. And then it's dropped as low as 41 cents. And now it's spiked back up to 67 cents. And Kamala Harris's decentralized betting odds have now plummeted essentially from about 50% odds, 47%, all the way down to where it sits right now at 24%. So the betting markets, which is an interesting source of truth, are now showing Joe Biden is most likely going to be the candidate again. And based on everything we can discern here, that is something that is being decided by really Joe and his wife Jill, and apparently the Democratic leadership and even the Democratic liberal media have not been able to pressure this guy to give up this presidential bid. Quite an interesting moment in politics where people hate Donald Trump and the Republicans so much that they may be willing to elect someone who is not mentally well just to avoid putting in power someone who they don't like. It's truly a wild sign of the times. And all I can say is that if Joe Biden does go forward as the Democratic nominee, that it would be really, really nice if they added crypto to the Democratic policies. I'm not here to solve the issues with the nation. I would just like a happy and healthy home for crypto here in the United States. Anyways, I found this whole decentralized betting markets trying to discern the truth or fiction of what's happening in politics to be a really interesting use of crypto, and one of my favorite things that I've seen recently as far as a real use case for how decentralized market can help serve a real goal in the real world. All right, let's talk about some coins. So now that we've gotten out of the way that we have a short-term negative outcome for the markets with Mt. Gox distributing their coins, something like 45,000 Bitcoin, if I remember correctly, the German government selling 50,000 Bitcoin, that is a lot of new supply getting very aggressively distributed and dumped almost in a coordinated way on the markets. And that's having a distinct negative outcome. These are short-term, one-time events that overhang the market, and once cleared can be seen as bullish depending on how much the market survives intact. So to say that right now is the time to go all in is actually a crazy thing. In fact, likelihood is that we go a little lower or that we explore the downside of the ranges at least. But the truth is that there is no real telling. There is really the risk here that the market could snap up. And if it does that, then all of a sudden there would be a huge wave of bullishness because people would have said, okay, there's the bottom. We now see the volume. We see the rebound. The range has been reclaimed and onward and upward. So there's a risk if you sell here for sure that you would miss out on that upside. There's also a risk that if you hold, you will get hammered with more downside. It is quite a risky moment in the market. So when I talk about what my strategy is here, I want to be very clear. The timing of this is something that I can't tell you for sure what the perfect timing is. But overall, I believe these two things, and I'll combine them for you right now. First of all, I believe that if Bitcoin rips to 100K, and I believe it will, that the coins that will do best are not telegraphed in the market right now. We've seen so many examples of coins performing really well after kind of suffering while Bitcoin was under its prior all-time highs. So I believe that the utility coins or the narratives or the types of coins that do well, the specific tickers, are not obvious. And that's been true of every bull run. The actual big winners are not shown before the actual market cycle takes place. In fact, the biggest big winners are oftentimes not obvious even to the best market participants. So to think that just because Pepe has been this amazing success story, that it's going to lead the entire market forever throughout this bull market, I think is a little too short-sighted. It could happen, but I think that that's a little too short-sighted. In other words, the true cycle winners have not yet been revealed. Stay hungry. I also posted this. I just bought a utility altcoin, Ask Me Anything, and a bunch of people asked if I was hacked. I don't understand it. I guess it was a weird phrasing because I don't usually say AMA. Maybe they thought this was a ticker, but no, AMA means Ask Me Anything. Anyway, I'm getting DMs asking if my account is hacked. Not hacked. Thanks, guys. And yeah, this is just common internet speak. It's not a ticker, okay? But I will say that I have been still researching the utility coins in the categories I think are most important. You guys know those. And I've been looking to buy into things that seem like they are undervalued or fairly valued or don't think they'll go much lower. And again, this is one of those buying when things look and feel terrible with the hope that in the future they will look and feel awesome and that those will be really impactful buys. But of course, right now, most people might tell you it is an extremely risky time to buy. But I just think that it's a really interesting moment for the market, and claiming that you have the perfect timing now is a fool's errand. I thought we had the perfect setup with the 60K revisit. Now it seems a little uncertain, but I'm going to continue sticking with my guns and buying into the categories and narratives that I think are the best, averaging down on coins that I think will pump the hardest, and again, just planning to ride this entire cycle. One thing I want to be very clear about is that the meme coin hamster wheel has certainly broken, at least for short term. If Lionel Messi publishing a tweet about a coin, that tiny micro cap coin that literally has, what is this, $6 million in liquidity? Yeah, only $6 million in liquidity. That is absolutely crazy. If he can't pump a meme coin, then there's just no appetite for these new meme coins, no matter who they get to tweet about it or what they do. I'd imagine they paid him at least $1 million for that Instagram post. So you need to understand the actual appetite for new memes is almost entirely dead. So if you believe that memes are the future, I think that focusing on, quote, chosen memes or the memes that have the most excitement still around them, well, those would probably be the ones to focus on. I think the path for new memes is going to become extremely hard considering the absolute sheer quantity of new ones being issued each day. I do think that overall, the trend of meme coin oversaturation will lead people back into bigger meme coins. Those bigger meme coins, while they have the chance to pump 10, 20, 30x, maybe even more, well, those gains are starting to be quite similar to what you'd expect out of utility coins or even out of some bona fide major coins. So the appetite to come back towards quality as the true market cycle begins, I think will become obvious. I personally can't justify tilting my portfolio too much more into memes, so I'm going to keep it exactly where it was. I started with what I think of as a small amount, and a couple of those have become big winners. Almost all my other meme coins just instantly died, so I don't know what to say. I feel like I've gotten somewhat lucky, somewhat unlucky, but either way, I do think that a return to quality, whether it's in the meme space or in the utility space, is something that will be a huge theme of the next part of the cycle. Now, exactly when we bottom, I have no idea. If Bitcoin goes down to the 40,000s, yes, it would be very, very hard on altcoins. That would, of course, mean that it would be better if you sold now and rebought. But if we don't go down to the 40,000s and you sell now, you probably will be getting terrible execution on most of your coins and you'll be forced to buy back higher. Now, overall, I've taken a path that I'm comfortable with for my own risk profile. You need to do the same. But I am 100% riding with the strategy that I've outlined here on the channel. I've only been adding to my bags in this dip, and I expect a resolution at some point to the upside, massively so. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to lose a lot of money. I think probably more money than most people watching this channel. It will be painful. However, if I don't, it will be filled with glory. It will be the Valhalla that I have dreamed of, that I have spent my entire life focusing on. And so what I'll be doing for the next few months is building aggressively the stuff that I think the gaming world wants. Again, gaming is a narrative that was super hot towards the end of last year and now has cooled off significantly, which, as you guys know, based on the heat of that narrative, I don't come and go. I believe in that one long term. As always, I hope you guys enjoy these episodes. episodes. If you do, you know what to do. Smash that like button and make sure to subscribe. I'll be doing more sort of nitty gritty updates here, helping navigate the short term, because I know so many people are feeling extremely flooded out of their bags right now. Even my mom, if you're seeing this, shout out to you, sent me an article about how Peter Brandt predicted that Bitcoin has double topped and now we're entering into a secular bear market. Look, I feel the bearish vibes surrounding me, enveloping me, engulfing me, and I simply will not give up. Not yet. I'll be the last bull standing. If you appreciate that in the content here, go ahead, smash that like button. We're not flippy floppy. When we're wrong, we raise our hand, we say so, we try to do better, but I'm not just going to flip and dip like I see a lot of content creators do. In the end, I'm here to live and die by the words I say here on this channel. So let's go ahead and do this together. As always, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you very soon on the next one.